Hello, 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 beautiful souls. Welcome to Ascension's Love with Alice. It's so gorgeous to be here with you as I do this little live stream. We're going to be looking at the energy for, from today onwards really, until the full moon on, is that on Saturday? I think we've got it on Saturday, the 24th. The moon will have literally just moved into Aquarius. So it's going to be a very, very powerful one because we will have two full moons on the chart, both in Aquarius. Now that's going to be really, really powerful, really poignant. We've also got the Lionsgate portal. We've got so much going on cosmically, energetically, literally so much going on. So I am really excited to see what is going to come up for this week. We're already calling in and have called in the angels, guides, ascended beings of love and light to assist. I'm just looking at the cards, one of them just jumped out. To assist with bringing through some guidance for you to help with the energies that are coming up so that you kind of know what's going on. So without further ado, we're going to have a little look here. So we are filming this on, are we on Sunday today? I think it's a Sunday, yeah. We're filming this on a Sunday. And Sundays are always quite an interesting day. It's like kind of a, I mean, it's the day for the sun, right? And there has been, especially if you're in the UK, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but especially if you've been in the UK, there has been literally clear blue skies for the whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And with that space, with that light coming in, with that clarity, we've all been receiving these light codes, right? We've all been receiving a lot of energy, a lot of light codes, and you have probably noticed kind of like this bubbling energy, right, coming up around you. A lot of kind of fiery energy from other people, so a lot of projections coming up, a lot of triggers coming up, a lot of kind of volatility. You may have noticed that. You know, the more light that we receive, what happens is we receive that energy, we receive like a higher grade of energy, and then our mental bodies, our emotional bodies, our spiritual bodies, our physical bodies, one of them release what no longer serves, because that light coming in creates shadows, right? You can't have light without shadow. So those shadows start to come out, and the thing is that, you know, you can always tell kind of the level that a person is at spiritually in their spiritual development as to whether or not they will want to project, right? Project and react to something that's being said, something that's happening, anything like that, versus whether you're just going to kind of witness it and respond. And that's been a real big one for so many people right now. And you know, and I've had my own personal experiences of this over the past few days, specifically where I've seen close family members and friends and people kind of, you know, you can see the energy within them. And anyone that's slightly or remotely clairvoyant, who's able to see the energy, it's kind of like watching a kettle that's about to boil, or watching a pan with a lid on it, right, with boiling water in. And that's that Cancer sun, right? Because the sun is in the sign of Cancer right now, that water sign, right? And a lot of things around the home life coming in with that energy. So it's really interesting to kind of you know, see this kind of pan lid bubbling energetically, and then something will happen, something will be said, or something will just kind of something very, very small. And you know that phrase, like the straw that broke the camel's back? It's kind of like that has been happening, right? But it's how do we respond to that, especially if that's directed to us, right? You know, especially if that's directed to us and around us. Because, you know, we can take things personally as humans, but that's not the intention, right? We don't want to be taking things too personally, because when we do that, we start to involve the law of attraction. We start to really power the law of attraction with our emotions, right? And the wounds that are showing up for us. But really, if it does catch you, if it does trigger, then the reason for that is to just kind of go, oh, okay, that's really interesting. That does actually hurt a little bit inside. It hurts emotionally a little bit. Why is that? Okay, how can I heal that? How can I see that from a different perspective, knowing that anything anyone says isn't actually personal, right? It's always about them. It's not about you, right? Because, you know, as within, so without. Whatever goes on within is going on without, right? We create our reality. And I do have a couple of archangels jumping out here just to kind of really help talk about this week. So let's have a look at the cards as they're coming out. We have Archangel Zariel coming out. Oh yeah, I've got someone here live saying that that's happened to them this week. I think it's happened to many, and it's so funny because I was speaking to a friend about this, and I was like, it's like the energy's just been like really fiery. Like, it's been beautiful outside, but it's been really fiery. And then I was like, actually no, it's not been fiery. It's like it's been steam. Steam has been coming up, and it's like it's sweltering here. It's literally, it's boiling, sweltering weather. Like, we can't cope in the UK with anything other than cloudy and rainy. It's quite funny, really. So it's been like the high 20s, low 30s, and we're panicking. Just like we do with any other type of weather, you know, like slightest bit of snow, oh my gosh, shut everything down, you know, we're quite funny that way. But anyway, I've got Archangel Zariel coming in here, which is this gorgeous archangel here, and look at that, look, he's got his wings around these two beautiful dogs, and you know, dogs, I mean, they're from Sirius, right? Dogs, the dog star, right? You know, and we're in that Sirius alignment right now. You know, there's unconditional love that come in so beautifully from dogs and you know, and that beautiful species. But here, and they're very pack animals, right? You know, they're very, very pack animals. But look here, so he's talking about giving and receiving love and obeying spiritual laws. And really, this weekend and the start of this week is all about, or the start of this moment in time even, is very much about, you know, it's like we're going to be able to really go deeper into our understanding of the spiritual laws. So that's like the law of cause and effect, you know, laws of polarity, laws of gender, you know, all these different laws, right? Laws of attraction, you know, laws of vibration, you know, all these different laws. We're going to start to really understand it on a different level, and we're going to be given that space to understand it. And, you know, the space is created when we choose to do something differently, when we choose to react differently. So I had an example the other day. This is a personal example, and you guys know me, I will share personal things to kind of help, you know, help with, you know, seeing how this could show up in your life. And it was really, really interesting because I got to see my nephews the other day, right? So I have a sister, and she has two boys, and I got to see my nephews the other day, right? And it's always wonderful for me to see them because I'm very different to my immediate family, as is normal for many starseeds, many people of this kind of age, right? And, you know, and my sister and I are very much like chalk and cheese, if you know that expression. And I was playing a game with my nephew, and I was being a little bit cheeky because I would really love to reintroduce magic, the magic of the world, to these young children so that they don't forget, right? Because they know it deep down. And we were playing pairs, so there was lots of little animal blocks, right? And they were laid down, and we had to kind of, you know, see the pairs, right? You know, whoever gets the most wins. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if, you know, wouldn't it be fun if we could, like, if I was to hold one and you was to try and guess what it was, and I'll teach you how to do that. So I was trying to teach him telepathy, and he was doing really well with it, actually. But before then, he kind of said something which could have been a very big trigger, right? And he said, "Mummy says you're crazy," right? And that is a very, very, you know, for many people, if they were to hear that, that would be massive, you know, explosion trigger, really hurtful, really deep cutting, right? For when, and people experience this all the time, especially if your family is broken, right? And, you know, and it was so fascinating to hear. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I don't want to play that game, it's silly. And I was like, okay, well, why is it silly? Well, because Mum says you're crazy. And I'm like, okay. And then instead of kind of being defensive, instead of reacting as most people probably would do, because this is a very deep wound running through the whole collective, right? Of this sisterhood wound. Instead of reacting to that, you know, I chose to not take it personally, right? I chose to not let that go in deep, even though I did feel that there was a part of a wound that wanted to come out, and wanted to be healed, right? My inner child was wanting to be upset. So instead, what I did was I said to my nephew, I was like, have you ever been called a name before? Like, has anyone ever called you a name that just hasn't felt good? And he was like, yeah, it's not very nice. And I'm like, yeah, it's not nice, hey? What does it feel like, you know, if you're called something that's kind of, you know, intended to make you feel little? And he was like, well, I feel grumpy, and, you know, and then I feel red, you know, feeling the colours, right? And I was like, sure. So when someone else, right, might say that about another person, you know, do we think that it's nice to kind of let that happen? Or maybe there's just like a way of communicating that has not been understood, right? Maybe it's just the words haven't come out right, you know? Maybe they were upset and they said something because they were feeling red first, right? So we had this conversation, and he was really receptive to it. And but it was really fascinating because the whole purpose of this is that, you know, that then created space for me, right? It created space for me to then go into my Akashic records, right, to go into that whole template, to allow my inner child afterwards to just come out and share how they were feeling, right? Because we don't do this enough. We don't reclaim our inner child, right? We don't nurture and love and hear our inner child enough. And that's going to be coming up more and more and more and more. We saw it so powerfully this weekend. We'll continue to see that on a collective global scale, on an individual scale, especially as the sun is, still in that sign of Cancer. It's going to move into Leo by the end of the week, right? Which is all that fire energy. But Archangel Zariel, is really kind of, we have to lead by example, right? We have to lead by example. And, when we can say, hold on, I know, something that someone says isn't a personal attack, right? It's a way of them trying to express, but they may not know how, right? It then helps you get a deeper understanding, And what's really, really wonderful when that happens is, like I say, it creates that space. But the next thing that was coming in is Archangel Muriel. So Archangel Muriel is going to be helping us out through the next part of the week, right? So this is going to be really interesting because currently the moon is in Scorpio as well, right? We're at the first quarter moon. It's just been that first quarter moon in Libra. The moon is now in Scorpio. So really you are going to go into those deep triggers, right? That's what the moon is wanting to bring. And anything that you wanted to manifest by that full moon that's happening at the end of the week, and it's going to be something to do with freedom, right, and liberty, because the full moon is going to be in Aquarius, right? Aquarians do not get put in boxes, we don't get, I say we, I'm not an Aquarian, but, they don't get put in boxes, and they don't adhere to external segregation, right? Titles and boxes and things like that, no. So whatever you've been asking for on a soul level, right? And this can be broad, this might not be broad, but whatever you've been asking for, you're going to see those triggers want to come up, right? So that you get to choose to respond differently, right? You get to choose to respond differently. So Archangel Muriel is also letting us know, and look at all this water here, right? We've got this moon energy coming in, and, we have the sun that represents our kind of like our ego, our personality, and then the moon represents that aspect of us, the inner workings, right? The inner planes, the emotional side, So we've got to allow those emotions to be heard and to be healed, right? And, Archangel Muriel is just here letting us know, look, those waters can be calm, but you just have to trust. You have to trust what your intuition is bringing you. You have to trust your understanding of things, even if others don't. You have to trust you more than anything else, because if you don't, if you don't trust you, then we're kind of scuppered, really, right? Because we're here for us in this lifetime. We're not here to victim ourselves, to martyr ourselves, to anyone, for anything, right? So, and then we have Archangel Gasissa, right, for the end of the week. Now, this is an incredible, incredible archangel, and she is very much about our service timeline, right, our highest timeline, and how we are putting our highest step forward for whatever it is that we came here to do, right? And she also channels in that assistance from the other planetary systems and things like that in the constellation. So for example, she channels in the energy of Sirius, of the Pleiades, right, of Orion, brings that in, right, and also sends the light that we're creating on Earth out as well, that ascended aspect of Earth, because we are still in that space and time where there are multiple dimensions layered over and over and over us, right? So you might walk outside and it might seem, right, by all the physicality, that we're in a very 3D world, that polarity, the duality, the kind of like the fear-based everything, right? That physical manifestation is a manifestation of the past, right? We've manifested that, right? Whatever we're walking as, though, like we could be walking, anchoring in such light, and we won't actually have to engage in any of that, right? We don't have to engage in any of that. And Archangel Gasissa is really going to be helping us to realize that as well, because wherever our focus is, that's what's going to manifest for us. Those experiences manifest, right? And what Archangel Gasissa is all about here is like, she's saying that this space and time between now and the end of the week is about allowing the mental belief patterns that we have that have been blocking us, that are redundant, those programs that are based in fear. This week we're going to get to see them, right? We're going to get to see them so that we can rewrite them, so that we can heal them, so that we can love on them, right? And that's all we need to do. We don't have to figure anything out. We don't have to go into our mind to do anything. We just have to allow it to surrender to it, and allow the space to be created just by witnessing and acknowledging it, right? And that's what's really, really beautiful, because that builds a platform, and that builds trust with yourself, because there is no trust in the world right now, right? You know, that's one of the things that is completely broken in the world right now, is trust, you know? And that starts and ends with ourselves, right? How many times have we said we're going to do something and we haven't? How many times have we said we're going to commit to something and we haven't? How many times have we said that we've got a certain goal and we want to hit that goal and then we don't, right? You know, it's like, how do we perceive trust, right, within ourselves? Because that's going to be a really big one. And, you know, in order to clear on those timelines, we have to experience them again physically in some way. It doesn't have to be big, but in some way that trigger has to come up so that we can notice it, then witness it, you know? So we've got a lot of really powerful energy coming in here, but I know usually I used to do these readings kind of flat on the ground so you could, or on a table so you could see the cards, but I'm just kind of pulling them this way, and it's really interesting to do that. So I'm going to carry on going. I'm going to get some further information with some further cards here. So I have, oh cool, okay. So I'm going to show you which cards have just come out now. So that first card that we pulled was Archangel Zariel, right? You know, with the two wolves, you know. And we also have to emphasize the energy coming through and how we're being supported. We have Kali Ma coming in. She's all about the beginnings and the endings. And look at her, you know, this is that new moon. It's actually a new moon eclipse, hey? But, you know, Kali Ma is there, and, you know, she's reminding us that, you know, every end has a beginning, every beginning has an end, those cycles and rhythms of the earth, right, and of being on planet Earth, and that's okay, that's good, because it's only from something ending can we open ourselves up for something really amazing, right? So, you know, and she even says, you know, the old must be released so that the new can enter, and look at that lotus on her hand there. You know, and she sees that third eye, she sees it clearly, she sees it differently. And when we ask for that support, you know, we might not be able to see it, and especially if we're focusing through our physical eyes, we're not going to see, right? We're not going to see through those eyes as clear as what we'll see when we see through our heart space. And that's exactly what I was teaching my nephew when I was teaching him to project his consciousness to the card, right? To the card that I had in my hand while he was guessing the animals. And he did really well, right? He did incredibly, incredibly well. And he didn't understand it, and I was like, that's because there's more to the physical reality, and Kali Ma's helping us remember that. But what I love here is we also have Maui coming in, right, that Mother Earth energy, right, the next support that we have. We've got Mother Earth and her cyclical nature assisting us, helping us, you know, nourishing us, loving on us, right? We are not estranged from the earth. Don't forget that this week. Because we have that fear, because the root chakra is very much getting rewritten, and it has been doing for a long while, but, you know, right now it's really amped up, especially this week, right? So, you know, get outside more and serve the earth more, and as you do that, you know, look at how the earth then serves you. Look at how that prosperity, that abundance is going to come through and help and serve you as well, you know? So when we get outside, when we're like picking up litter off the road, you know, doing anything like that, you know, turning off water if we don't need it, turning off the lights if we don't need it, you know, just anything that is helping the environment in that way, in that small way, you know, helping, you know, maybe you make a bee bath, right, so bees can get some water, you know, put some little pebbles and some water in a bowl so that they can stand on the pebbles and take a drink, you know, helping and being really conscious of the other species that we live with, because they're all here for a reason. You know, it's super fascinating because I have a family member who is really annoyed by flies and bugs and things like that. And, you know, we might think that they don't have a purpose, right? But there are some plants that don't actually get pollinated by the bees. They need the little midges and the flies to do that, right? So it's really interesting when we kind of understand on a deeper level why everything is here. There is nothing here by coincidence. There is nothing here just randomly, you know. Everything has a purpose. Everything is interlinked with us, and Mother Earth is going to be helping us recognize that, the energy of the earth this week, right? So really allow that. Oh, and I'm just hearing as well, we've got the 22nd, right? July 22nd is Mary Magdalene Day, right? That Divine Feminine Day. I think it's on a Thursday this year, sorry. Which is on a Jupiter day, right? Thursday is Jupiter day, so that's about expansion, you know. So when we've got all of that kind of coming together, you know, there's such a powerful week ahead, right? For us to tap into our intuitive side, into our feminine side, and as she flows, as she dances, as she weaves, as she surrenders, as she heals, our masculine energy is going to want to do the same, right? We mustn't neglect the masculine as well, because they both grow together, you know? They both have to partner and grow together. And then we have this wonderful card of prosperity coming in for the end of the week, right? So prosperity can look like many, many things, but it starts first in that belief system, right? It starts first with that mental body, because spiritually we're all abundant. Everything about abundance is all around you, all there, already, all waiting, literally surrounding you. It's are we pinching ourselves off from it though, right? But by the end of the week, you know, we just got to be abundant. We're going to be open and receptive, right? Open our chalice to receive. That's that feminine energy. But we also have to tap into our masculine energy, which takes the action so that he can protect the feminine, so that he can provide for the feminine, right? It's a dual thing to, it's a dual energy to actually manifest something, right? So by the end of the week, as the moon moves into, you know, through Scorpio, through that Sagittarius, right, we're going to get a little bit more focused, right, a little bit more out there, into Capricorn, where it's going to be very goal driven, you know, very kind of, okay, last push. We then get to that full moon in Aquarius, and it's like it's like that breath of air, right? Because that's how the moon really can work with us and with our goals and with everything like that. So really fascinating energies coming through. And look, White Tower is on the bottom, right? Sensitivity. It is going to be a sensitive week for many people, for every person. It's going to be sensitive. And what I mean by sensitive is that, you know, there will be triggers for people continuing on. You know, we will feel everything more so, right? We'll hear those sounds that we don't usually hear, or we'll notice or smell those things we don't usually smell, and you know, we'll feel sensitive to the energies. That's a given, right? But it's allowing your body to go with the flow and the rhythm. And when that energy is high, you know, allow your masculine energy within to go, okay, great, let me look after this. I've got you, divine feminine, because within us there is both masculine and feminine, and they work like this, right? They pair together like this. It's a sacred union. So important, right? But yeah, White Tower is coming in here. Just, you know, avoid anything that you don't need to be around. And, you know, guys, if that is social media, avoid it, right? Literally avoid it if that's social media, or choose a different platform, right? You know, Facebook and Instagram have both very different energies, you know. Don't feel like you need to pick up the phone to someone that you don't need to. Don't feel like you have to respond to a message if you receive a message. Don't feel like you even have to open it. I personally have, like, on my phone, I don't have any notifications that come through. I don't know if I've got a message. I don't know if I've, you know, if 5 people are in my inbox or no, or none are in my inbox. I don't know any of that until I am in the space and time to go in that, and I want to have a look at that, right? You know, so we are going to become more and more sensitive, and that's going to be the push for the next few weeks as well. But this week specifically, we're going to feel it, right? So with all that being said and done, you know, I'm just going to pull a final guidance card here. Now let's have a little look. Which deck of cards? Oh, I'm going to bring out the Work Your Light deck. Let's see. Okay. So final guidance for this week ahead. You know, let's have a little look-see. And you know what, you guys, if you're in my Facebook group, you'll know this. But I actually have a special sacred offer on that finishes Sunday evening, so finishes tonight, which is a reduction in sacred exchange for quantum healing sessions, right? So quantum healing sessions are so powerful. We work on every single level through all time, space, all the dimensions, to heal, to rewrite, to clear a belief pattern, something that is blocking you, something that isn't feeling good, something that is redundant, that is ready to clear so that you can step onto your higher timeline, right? People ask me how it's different to something like Reiki and things like that. Energy healing like that tends to focus on what's going on right here, right now, and relieving that. Whereas quantum healing, it goes back through your timelines to the root of it and goes, okay, well, thank you so much, but we don't need that in our garden anymore. We're just going to take that out, create the space, and plant something different. That's what quantum healing does. It's incredibly powerful. And yeah, so if you're not in my Facebook group, do feel very welcome to request to join. The link will be down below of this video. It's called the Isis Dream Temple, right, where magic meets mystery. But yes, I have 60 and 90-minute sessions, and well done for those who have made the most of that offer and have already booked in. I have a couple of slots left this week for you. So, and you'll want to be in my Facebook group as well, because I've got a really brilliant new course coming out very, very soon. And I talk about that soon. So anyway, let's get some final guidance for the week ahead, okay? So, I love this. The first card that came out, no. It's okay to say no, 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 no. This is putting boundaries in place. This is the divine masculine, right? This is the divine masculine protecting the divine feminine within us, right? You know, he helps us set the boundaries, right? He helps us be safe, You know, it doesn't matter what your gender is, what your physical gender is. We all have masculine, feminine energy, and it's okay to say no. Let that no come through. The boundaries are so important. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional giving. I said that in a post earlier on. So important, right? So we've got no coming in. You know, it's okay to wait, to postpone things. It's going to be okay to say, I don't know right now. I need to feel into that a little bit more. You don't have to make decisions right away, you know. So we've got that no coming in loud and clear, right? And the voices of the people of the people that, you know, you may not see on censored platforms, but they're getting louder and louder and louder, right? And that no is so important. The masculine energy that has been so wounded on this earth plane is rising into his sovereignty, right? That's what's happening. So really incredible. The next guidance we have is that deep replenishment. Allow yourself to just nurture yourself. What do you need? Do you need a bit of extra rest, a bit of extra sleep? What do you need? Allow it, allow it, allow it. Allow yourself to be held by the earth, by the moon, by the sun, by the sky, by, you know, by your partner, by your pet, I don't know, by yourself, really. Allow yourself to be held and loved and nurtured, right? Because, you know, everything that is happening really is actually happening for you. We've all asked for expansion on a soul level. We've all asked for this. And this is how it's manifesting, because this contrast is bringing us the expansion. We are that ever unfolding rose, right? That rose is just blossoming in its own perfect time. No competition with any other roses, no rush. Whenever it's meant to be, that is when that rose blossoms, and that is you. You are perfectly on time, perfectly on track. Do not ever doubt that. Do not ever worry about that, right? And allow that heart space to open, like this woman in the picture. She's opening up, right? Opening her heart space up without fear. What are you contracting with? Are you contracting with fear, or are you contracting with love? They will both be two different timelines, depending on which one you choose. Right. So that's all for me. I will do a separate video on the full moon in Aquarius another day this week. It's going to be incredibly powerful, so do be sure to stay tuned. Feel welcome to catch me on YouTube, on Instagram, where I'll be doing some card pulls later for people answering questions, and feel very welcome to join my Facebook group, the Isis Dream Temple, because that's where all the special offers are, right? So sending you all so much love. Thank you for being here, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.